I am so excited to hear about your weekend.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'm actually just now going over my notes. I just haven't had a minute to. Um,
Sure, yeah, just this is informal, don't worry.
yeah, it was awesome. It was very inspirational, especially with the speakers that they chose. Winter Vinecki, which I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is 19 years old, and she was the youngest person to run a marathon on all seven continents at 15 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And she is now training. Well, she wants to go to the Olympics for aerial skiing, and she was going to qualify this year, but she had an injury right before the qualifying trials, so she wasn't able to. But she's like, "It's okay, 4 years, and I'll be there." And I was like, "That's awesome." Which
Wow.
is really cool. And then Chris and Nikki Cotton spoke, and they
Hmm.
were such a, they're an older couple, probably in maybe their late 60s, possibly. Um,
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how old, but they were really inspirational. They started Juice Plus when the business, I think, first started,
Mm-hmm.
and they came out of bankruptcy. They
Oh,
they went bankrupt and then joined Juice Plus, and now they're just living their life to the fullest. They go sailing with their friends. They've got their friends involved in Juice Plus, so they just have this whole community where they're living their best life. I'm like, oh, you guys are awesome.
wow.
And then they had a bunch of other speakers, young and some old, but a lot on social media content, which was helpful for me, um, because I don't tend to use social media as much as I would like to. So I'm trying to do better about it. And then there was an 88-year-old lady named Hazel.
Oh, you got to meet Hazel? Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah, she was. I didn't end up getting the chance to meet her in person. We had to
Uh-huh.
shoot and skedaddle quickly after it ended because Sharika had to get back home. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but she was awesome. She did push-ups and knee bends on the stage. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're 80 years old. So that really inspired me to start her routine that she did with the 40 push-ups and 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's amazing. That makes sense though. So that was all about consistency. The big messages that I got throughout all of the speakers um, were consistency
Mm,
on touching base with people and just keep moving forward with everything. So that was a big message that kind of flowed through everyone. And then their hashtag for this year was I Shift. So it was all about shifting from one point of your life into the next and kind of shifting along your journey and just being able to change your course of action as you go. So, um, yeah, that was really, really interesting. Um, so Chris and Nikki Cotton started the event on Friday, and they spoke a lot about. Chris considered himself a professional recreationologist. Yeah, recreationologist.
what
And
does that mean?
I thought it was really funny. So, like, he's very into outdoor sports and just
Um,
like outdoorsy things. So,
mhm.
he came up with the term himself. He's like, I'm a professional recreationologist.
Okay.
um, so, yeah, he just, teaches people to live their best lives with doing what they want outdoors.
Yeah.
So it was funny, but they had spoke about the main factors of growing your business and being able to get to where you want to be. They talked about being teachable,
Mm,
playing everything all out.
mm,
So don't basically go half in on something. Um, they talked about authenticity and how it's really important to maintain true to yourself instead of comparing yourself to others and going by what others think, which I have thought about a lot over the last week as well. So I resonated with that, with everything that's kind of been going in my mind. And we talked the other day too, just trying to settle in my own groove. So that was helpful to hear again. It kind of reiterated it in my mind. And then they talked about the connection calls and how important they were. And I feel like I've very much underutilized those. So that was important for me to hear how valuable those are. And they actually, their team calls them, instead of like 3-way calls or something like along those lines, or follow-ups, 3-way follow-ups or anything like that, they call them exploration calls. And there was a couple of different names. So they broke it down into 3 different categories for what they called each call. So there were different ones based on the potential for each person. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I thought it was really fascinating. It was like an exploration call, the other 2 names are skipping me, but I know I wrote them down.
Yeah, you can find them later if you have to.
Transformation call, empowerment call, and they called them all empowerment calls.
Okay.
There was transformation call, abundance call, and love call. And so the abundance call is for like a distributor that has a lot of goals and is wanting to reach a high abundance within their business. A transformation call, I didn't write each one down because he was talking so quickly. But I think the transformation call was for somebody who was wanting to transform into the business. So come into the business. And the love call was just meeting somebody where they're at and sharing the product and their story and all of that. So they call them different names, which I thought was really cool. And they actually spoke a couple of times. They started us out on Friday, but they also closed us out on Saturday. And Nikki had spoken a couple times, and she's the one that I went up on stage with in the beginning. So she had asked who's a new rep within the last like few months. And I raised my hand and she told me to come up there. And I was like, okay. And it was so weird because normally I have really, really bad anxiety with going in front. Like I just have really bad social anxiety. I get that pit in my stomach where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to judge me. Like I didn't have any of that. And I don't know if it's because I didn't have enough time to think about it or if like the community was just so amazing. I'm sure it was a combination of both, but I felt so comfortable up there.
Wow.
And even walking up, like people were clapping and I like did a little like, hey, as I was walking, like I stopped and was just like, thank you. Which I would never do that. So it was really weird. I was like completely out of my element.
Yeah.
The best way possible. And I was like, this is so cool. So that was really exciting for me. And she asked me a couple of questions about potential customers and bringing them onto the business and their hesitations and stuff. So I used Kelsey as an example. I didn't really know at first what she was trying to get out of me, like where she was going with it. So she had a couple more people come up after me. And once they went up and I like understood what she was trying to do, I was like, oh, I probably should have dived more deeper into what I was saying, but that's okay. So I used Kelsey as an example though, and then Tori as an example as well. And like her being in financial discontent, I guess, with everything that she has going on and being a new mom. So she was just kind of playing out the scenario on how to, bring her on to the team, which, like I said, I wish I would have gone a little deeper in. I didn't understand what she was trying to get at first, but we talked about time because I told her that Tori doesn't feel like she has time to do it. So she was just talking about stolen moments throughout the day that I could bring up to her. But yeah, that was really exciting. That was a highlight for me just because I didn't expect myself to be so comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you. And it sounds like, your post today went really well. You have some people kind of congratulating you and some new people that you could add to your memory jogger that relate to you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was also really unexpected. I was like, wow, this drew in a lot of comments on.
It did. Yeah. And I think that's authenticity, you just said that earlier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was really exciting. And then towards the end of Saturday, they also went into what they called powerful meals, bringing meals into your business. Have you ever heard of that?
Towerful or powerful?
Powerful.
Okay. No. Mm-mm.
So meals is an acronym for mindset, energy, activity, language, and skills. So based on the mindset, they were talking about, instead of creating like where you think your business should go, create a group consciousness with a common goal. So creating that community where everyone is working towards something instead of just what's on your personal agenda.
Right.
It tends to help build everyone at the same time instead of just one person individually.
I love that.
And then they talked about being a stage walker. So crossing the stage at your promotional levels, and to get there, being a shapeshifter, make sure that you're hungry, committed, teachable. You go into a new comfort zone and you overflow onto your team. So not
That's
keeping
nice.
everything. Yeah. Really pouring everything out, because we can only handle so much individually. So they just said to overflow onto your team, which I thought that was awesome to hear because we are a team. So it's nice to
Right.
others too. And then they said you have to be infected before you're infectious, which I thought was cool too. To like really think of having that draw in yourself to really be able to spread it. So that was mindset. And then energy was creating like that shift of adrenaline rush that you get when you're working towards something. We did an exercise where we said hello to a person, and we tried to say hello to as many people as we could, just like, hi, I'm blah, 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 and then hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. And then the second time around, we treated it as if it was one of our friends. So it'd be, hi, oh, it's so good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And then the third time that we went around, it was a friend that you haven't seen in years and you're super excited. So we went through, without knowing, different energy levels.
Yeah.
They were just talking about, being mindful of the energy that you bring to the people around you, because we all respond so much better with a high energy and intensity when we're talking to each other. So I thought that was a really neat exercise.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it brought out, everyone was, at first we were kind of all just dull, like it was towards the end of the day, we were a little tired. And then at the end, everyone just had huge smiles plastered on their faces, and it was just such a shift. So it was really cool to see. Yeah, and then the third one was activity. And for that, They quoted Albert Einstein saying nothing happens until something moves. So you need to put activity, action in to make your business grow. And then they also said, which I think we all know this, but again, it's good to reiterate, we must take the message to the public to actually make the change. So it's really, reiterating, spreading the word and not just keeping it to ourselves, despite all of our fears and all of the negative energy that we may bring of, somebody turning us down or anything like that. It's just constantly being consistent with it and bringing it to everyone. And then the number one highest paying activity is talking to people, which I thought was important. And then they also say be committed to the activity, but don't be attached to the outcome, which I think is really important when moving forward because, and we talked with Billy Leonard about this as well. When you get attached to the outcome, it becomes more anxiety provoking because you need that, you want that, you desire that. But when you take yourself away from the outcome, you're just creating a genuine relationship and it tends to flow easier. And then people tend to just kind of fall into place with it instead of feeling forced or pressured or anything like that. So that was interesting. And then L was language. And then it was talking about changing the language of how we express what we're trying to convey. So like I was talking, this is where the call lingo came in with the different names for the call instead of calling them a three-way. Because if you go to somebody and say, hey, I want to bring you on like a three-way call and have you meet one of my teammates, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds fine. But like if you tell somebody, oh, I want to bring you on to like an exploration call or a transformation call or something like that, people tend to get more excited about it. They're like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. So it's about shifting the language to match what you're trying to do instead of, just having a blanket out with it. And then they also said for this is on language too, instead of I've been dripping on someone, have you heard that before?
Yeah.
So a lot of people say that. They were like, why not change it to I've been shining on somebody? Or
okay. I like that.
Because dripping has such a like annoying nuisance.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, you've just been working with them and shining on them forever. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the last one was skills. And there's 7 skills. And they referenced, I don't know if you've ever heard of GoPro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they referenced the 7 skills from GoPro. He didn't go into any details, but essentially he was just saying you need to master the skills and create them as a natural presence, I guess. Instead of like forcing them, you just have to master. And then, yeah, so that was from Nikki and Chris Cotton, Cotton.
Where are they from?
They live out west. I want to say they're either from Colorado or Arizona. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
Might be from California, but I think they're from out west.
I can't picture them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're older. They both have like silver hair, lots of energy, super fun.
Okay.
Kind of, they both walked on stage without shoes. So they're,
funny. Yeah.
Spirited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we heard from some younger women, and they talked about different scenarios that you could go through and like, at the grocery store and how you would approach somebody. And so we had a worksheet that we kind of worked through with that. something else that Chris Cotton said that really stood out to me is you have the capacity to get paid for the rest of your life from your next conversation.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Powerful. Yeah. They were just, so these girls though, they were just talking about different scenarios. Social media, if you have never spoken to somebody on social media, like how to reach out to them, different ways of, introducing that conversation. And I have a worksheet I can send to you if you're interested in like see scenarios where, but basically the whole premise of it was just ask great questions to get people talking. So really just ask open-ended questions that lead to something. And then we talked about changing a chicken list into your power list. So basically your memory jogger that you kind of are scared to contact or follow up with, create a power list with it instead. And Nikki, so I have trouble, obviously I think everyone does with family. For some reason, family, it's hard to find you credible. I don't know why, but I know that you had that issue with your brother too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nikki said it took her parents forever to come on board with it. And they have a really close relationship with her and they trust her and everything, but yet they still wouldn't come on. So she asked them, she said, "Do you think I'm wise?" And they were like, "Yes." And she said, "Do you think you raised me to make wise decisions?" And they said yes. And so she's like, "Okay, so why wouldn't you trust me with this?" And they were like, "Oh, that's a good point."
That's good.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just talked about some residual income and the reason behind it, why you would want residual income and creating your life. What I really got out of Winter, though, Winter Vanecki is the 19-year-old. She was just so powerful. So her dad died when she was 12 years old. And they used to be very active together and go run and do cycling. And he was a triathlete.
I have seen her when she was younger. She came to one of our conferences and she's adorable, absolutely adorable. But it was probably 4 years ago when she came. So you're probably seeing a much more mature version at this point.
Yeah. She was just so amazing though.
So keep going. I remember the story. Her dad died and then she started like a nonprofit or something maybe?
Well, she decided to run on every single continent for him.
Okay.
And I think she raised money for cancer.
Yeah.
Which is what he died from. So her whole premise of what she was getting at when she was talking about why she did that was developing your why. So she talked about why power versus willpower. And the why power is so much more important because it drives you from in all of the times when you're questioning the challenges that you're facing. And if you want to go on or anything like that. So her why power on doing all of these races was for her dad. And that was so strong for her that no matter what challenges she faced or hardships, she just kept doing it. And she kept referring to grit. And actually she wasn't the only one. There were a couple people that kept talking about grit and just having grit and keep the focus and the mindset going. So that was just really powerful for me because I think I tend to jump into things without developing the base premise on moving forward or the why. So that kind of took me back and was like, I need to sit down for a minute and develop my why so I can maintain my motivation and movement. So yeah, we talked about that. And she talked about SMART goals to achieve NMD. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time oriented. Have you heard of SMART goals before? Yeah. And then she was talking about fear. and how we all let fear hold us back from our truest desires just because we're scared of the unknown and what's going to happen. So a lot of times when we're talking with people, we get fearful of what their reaction is going to be before we even go forward with it, which holds us back a lot of times. And then she ended with a quote, "Adversity causes some men to break and others to break records."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Is she an NMD?
I don't think so.
I don't think she is yet, but she must be working close. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about, there were some people that went up there and shared their stories. Jamie and Jaron Kenzie talked.
Yeah, they're some of my favorites. Did you like them?
Yeah, they were good. She spoke a couple of times, and he did as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was cool that they're the youngest 100 Club at MDs.
Yeah.
And then they said that the way people in relationships spell love is time, Time,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was cool. And let's see. They talked about the journey on moving up, being teachable. And she shared her story about her moving up to a senior sales coordinator position and then eventually NMD, and how Jaron kind of was hesitant on it. And she stabilized for a few years and was comfortable and maintained that. But then she got back more momentum and moved forward. Let's see. And they said, there's a way to tell true goal versus a daydream, and that's to look at your calendar.
That's
how
good.
much you're actually working towards your goals versus just thinking that something is your goal. And then they talked about the employee ownership mindset. And I remember I saw that you had commented on Jake Kelly's post when you tagged me. And so I started looking at Jake and Joy, and I watched one of their videos, and they were talking about the athlete's mindset versus the employee mindset. So I resonated when Jamie and Jaron were talking about that. I was like, oh, I just heard this like last week.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, changing the mindset to be more driven. And then, let's see, they were just telling their stories. And then Hazel spoke and told her stories. And she also resonated with Winter on how she moved forward in her life and how she is where she is. And that her word is grit. She just sticks with grit. And I was like, that's awesome. She became a member of Toastmasters, and it's helped her so much. And every time I hear Toastmasters, I don't know why, but I think of you.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. You would enjoy it. Yeah.
So sorry, I'm just going through my notes, picking out the best things. A lot of it was just building on each other with the teachability and making sure to utilize the connection calls, relying on your team, and being community mindset. They talked about GoPro a couple times.
Have you got that book yet?
No, that was the first time I had heard of it. So I think I want to go pick it up soon, or get it on Amazon or something. I have Know Your Why.
Yeah, but why Simon Sinek, I think it is.
Yeah. Well, I had it right over there, but sorry.
Yeah.
I think Simon Sinek, but I haven't actually read it yet, so that's okay. My last value book that I was reading was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Which I only made it halfway through, but I found that valuable too. I need to
Sure.
start reading.
Yeah.
And then Emily Schneiber and Casey, I forget their last names, but they were millennials, young girls my age that were talking about social media. They said that there's over 2 billion Facebook users and over 1 billion Instagram users. So they were basically saying that there's so many people out there and there's not an excuse for you to ever run out of anyone to talk to. And then just using your smartphone. They said if your smartphone is not making you money, then it's a dumb phone, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then they talked about using social media instead of being on social media. So being consistent with what you're posting, if you're only posting when you think about it versus consistently posting throughout the week, then you're on social media and you're not using it. So they had some rules to reach out to get people more interested in what you're doing. And that was to follow or friend people that you want to be friends with. And then genuinely compliment something about them that's relevant to what you're trying to do. And then always give them an out. And I think this had a lot to do with like reaching out to people that you may find on Instagram or something and think may be a good fit. So you can lead with something that says, I don't know if this is something you may be interested in, but letting them know that. And then invite them to a call, follow up and finish with a question, and then connect them to a 3-way call. And then they went really in depth with following up. I've had issues with, not issues, but it's just always kind of hard to follow up. And I think I've definitely been one to not be pushy, like not want to be pushy. So they talked about, and it wasn't one of the, it was some, I forget who. It was another woman though. She was talking about pushy versus professional. And she was like, this is your business and following up is not pushy. It is professional because this is your business and you're trying to build it and you want the person to know that you care about their health. And it's not, so a lot of times when I get a lack of response or a no, I tend to just say, okay, that's fine and be done with it. But she was saying, no, don't do that because you're showing them that you don't care about them. And you're also not allowing them to really build a relationship with you and understand what you're doing and the mission that you're trying to go with. So that was a really big thing for me because, and it brought me back to Kelly because Kelly had told me, you know, it's just not what I want to do with my health coaching business. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I haven't really followed up with her again after. So after hearing that, I was like, oh, I need to go back and make sure I'm, you know, maintaining that relationship with her, even if she doesn't want to. That could obviously change in the future. And this is all stuff that I know, but it's like not present. So I think the conference was really good for me. And the fact that like, I know a lot of this, but I don't do a lot of it because I do have those internal fears, and just hearing all of it come back together put it fresh on my mind and just made me think that I need to start doing it more.
Yeah, and hopefully what you're starting to see is that, you know, you're running a business in your home by yourself. So it's good to make yourself get out of your home and go be a part of a, you know, conference like that. Just like we're going to have one in October in Tampa. You want to be sure you're at that one. So it's just a way for you to get the energy of other people and a community that's bigger than even our community that we do here in Atlanta. So I'm glad that you're figuring that out, because almost everything you said I've heard before, but it's helping me just to hear it from you again, you know, and to be in that audience and to be a part of that community up there probably was energetic and gave you more, confidence to go do some of the things you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And it just made me think I need to get my ducks in a row and really get hyper focused on what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So another thing they talked about was willingness versus wanting. So instead of just wanting something, actually being willing to go out and make those actionable moves to get there.
Great point.
And then, is your business vision built to last? Is there enough purpose in it to pull you through? Is the why strong enough? And then knowing what you do, being able to convey what you do to people. That was a big thing. And then I started writing I wrote a to-do list to grow. So it was like to do to grow.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I have that going. Consistency is more important than efficiency. So they were talking about, just like you keep telling me to, daily, do it daily. And they did the acronym. My mind is like blinking on words right now. Analogy of, you could do 50 push-ups in one day for the month, but you're not going to see results if you're not doing them consistently. Finding your system, they talked about that. And listen to how to keep taking the right steps. They mentioned listening to the right voices. So surrounding yourself with people who are going to build you up. And question your motives or anything like that. There is another book that they referenced called Get Over Your Dang Self. And it might have been Damn Self, but they censored it maybe. So I don't know the title, but it was just talking about believe the truth in yourself. So that was another book that and they talked about the Power Hour and the 90-day game plan, which Sharika added me to that group on Facebook. So I'm excited to take a look into that. And then they talked about Team Z. Have you ever heard of Team Z?
I just saw Julia Prescott post about it today for the first time. I had never heard of it. I haven't been there yet, but I want to.
Yeah. So it was basically like a whole schedule on how to follow up and like who to connect with. And it was really awesome. I was like, yes, I need this in my life, because it just tells you where to go. And I'm not sure, I know that you have a memory jogger, but I didn't know if you used anything like that would tell you and update you on where you're supposed to go. Yeah. So they referenced Team Z, and then Jake and Jenna Rude's Red, Green, and Yellow, the Freedom Revolution, and then the Mission Driven Model has something similar. But Team Z kept coming up a lot on the highly successful people on how they would utilize their business, which I think was really helpful for me personally, because I will follow up with somebody, and then if I talk to too many people at one time, I tend to get lost on who I talk to and like and I don't, if I write it down, I have so many papers everywhere. I just am not organized. Would be really helpful for me in that sense. Let's see, we have a few minutes left before our other call. So
let me ask you this before you keep going. Two things. And you don't have to have the answer now. You can, think about it and dwell on it, because I think you got a lot on your mind. But I'd love to hear your top 3 or 4 takeaways of what you're going to implement in your business. And you might need some time to think that over and, kind of consider that. But I also am wondering if you and Sharika might want to do a training call for us in the next couple of weeks. Maybe y'all can pick out your top, speakers and do a little presentation for us on the training call on Monday night. Would that be something you think you guys could do together?
Yeah, that'd be great. Definitely be in on that.
Okay.
I think my I definitely have 2 takeaways.
Oh, good.
And one, I don't know, 3, but probably. But the 2 that definitely come to my mind are utilizing social media more,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially with my generation and my age. I keep seeing, and a few weeks ago, I connected with a girl from Australia on social media because we were in like the same women's entrepreneurial group or something. And she said she was in health and wellness. So I reached out to her and she said she was doing Juice Plus. And I've been watching her post on social media and I've been taking things that I like from her and starting to apply them.
Awesome.
But all of the people my age of where I see they are and I want to be, they're using social media and they're creating. What I really want to start doing is creating a business on social media with Juice Plus. So they have like their own little names.
Yeah, a brand, if you will.
Yeah, brands. So that is one of my big takeaways because that's where I want to be.
Okay.
And then the second one I would have to say is follow-ups and being consistent with those and not giving up on people just because they say no. I need to be practice more adversity with that. No one and dones. So
Right.
those are the 2 main things that I really want to hone in and focus on. And I think those will be the most beneficial on building my business.
I love that. I love that. And you think about how long it took you to make a decision. Was it almost 2 year and a half? What did it take? Yeah. And, there were many windows where we weren't in touch with each other, but I did, kind of take myself away from the, what's the word, so I wanted you on the team. I wanted you to be on the product, obviously, but I didn't have an emotional attachment to it. I was more concerned about what you should do for yourself, and I think people can feel a difference versus I need you to order from me or I need you to be my team member, Yeah. So how did you call that? Take away the emotional connection? I don't remember what you said, Billy.
Yeah. Take away or focus on the activity and take away from the outcome.
Right. Is that what Billy was talking about, I think?
He talked about it, and then a couple of other people touched on it too. There was a lot of overlap.
Which was good, yeah, because we all need to hear it 2-3 different ways, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, focus on the activity and not on the outcome or something. But, yeah, I think that's something that I want to start doing, implementing. So, but, yeah, actually, Sharika and I, too, we were chatting so much. She lost her voice, poor thing. So on the way back, we didn't really talk too much. But on the way there, we were chatting. We didn't even have the radio on. We were talking the whole entire car ride. And we're very similar with our personalities and how we work and just our mindsets. So we are actually starting to meet once a week and on Sundays to go over our calendars and our schedules like you do with Christy.
Yeah, a sideline buddy. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And really try to keep each other accountable with moving forward in the week. So
I love that idea. And it really, because y'all had so much quality time together, it sounds like you got to know each other at a deeper level. And so now it's easy for y'all to hold each other accountable. And you went through the same training and you can go, remember when Hazel said, or remember when Nikki said? Yeah, that's great. Love it.
Yeah, so it was really great. I enjoyed all of it. And Dr. Phillips was also awesome. He spoke too. And it was a little different from the last time that I saw him. He did his scalpel to apple to scalpel last time.
Yeah.
This time he just answered questions, like questions.
Okay.
Which was interesting because I do get questions like that about the product.
Yeah.
So he was just able to, like, asking about the research and all that kind of stuff, go into a little bit more detail.
I love it. That's great. What time did y'all finish up on Saturday?
We finished up around 4, a little after 4.
Okay.
And then we had a skedaddle kind of quickly. We took quick pictures and then left.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I loved your post today. I thought you did a great job. I think that you just continuing to expand on those ideas will keep people intrigued by what you're doing, you know?
Yeah. And that's the whole point of it. I really want to try to get my website up and going, and like a blog or something. So I have that to couple with it. But
I think
yeah,
it's a great idea.
looking at all these girls, and I friended a lot of them on Instagram just to follow along with their journeys and their paths, because I'm like, I want to do that. So
Right. Love it. Yeah.
figure it out from than the ones that are already there. And who was it? Daunt. Casey.
Lacey.
Lacey Daunt.
Was she there?
No, she wasn't. But I met a girl that lives in Michigan, and we connected. And I was telling her, about just connecting with more millennials and people our age and whatnot. And she told me about her. So I looked at her on Facebook. I thought that was incredible, though. 11 months, and she reached NMD. I was like, okay, so obviously I need to, copy what you're doing.
Yeah. I follow her too. She's amazing. And I just learned about her at the last conference. So she's pretty up and coming. You will enjoy, and you can copy her ideas. Yeah. That's awesome.
So definitely have been looking at her the last couple of days, and
Good. Good.
But yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn this recording off so Liz